I really do think that people giving you this particular advice mean well, but at best it's unhelpful, and at worst it's completely sabotaging you and making you think it's your fault. The advice I see everywhere is that you should buy what you need and not what you want. This doesn't work, and I'll tell you why. And of course, I'll tell you what does work. Differentiating your needs versus your wants sounds like a completely reasonable thing to do, but is useless in practical application. That's because we are all great at convincing ourselves that what we want is in fact a need. We do it to ourselves all the time. Let's take groceries, for example. Groceries sound like a need, not a want. We all need food to survive, and buying food at the grocery store is less expensive than dining out at restaurants. So groceries seem as basic of a need as it gets. But does that make every single thing found in a grocery store a need? Obviously not. There are plenty of things in there that are not necessities. In fact, most everything in the middle of the grocery store is a processed food-like edible substance and not actually real food, so you don't need it. And in fact, it is detrimental to your health. But you can convince yourself that anything in there is a need because, after all, groceries are needs, not wants. So as you're standing in the cereal aisle facing all those sugary breakfast options, you think to yourself, do I need this box of deliciousness? Well, it's a grocery, and on top of that, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I actually don't think I believe that, but that's not really the point right now. So yes, this is a need. But nobody needs cereal to survive. It's not actually a need, but a want. But it sure is easy to convince ourselves it's a need. We are really good at justifying our wants as needs. How about another example? When you're out shopping for clothes. Let's say you work in an office or in a position where you see people, so your workwear can't always overlap with your loungewear. And let's say you're on the hunt for black work pants, and you come across an amazing pair. They cost $500. Are they a need or a want? You can probably come up with a good case that they're a need. You need to look professional, and you want to look good. They're high quality, and you expect them to last for a long time. They're timeless, classic, and you don't want to waste any more time looking for black slacks. You need to get these and move on. Sounds reasonable, but yet no one needs $500 pants. That's also reasonable. So as you can see, the question about something being a need or a want can be an endless, exhausting debate. In the black pants example, if you conclude that you don't need $500 pants, then what's the right cost that justifies a need? $200, $100, or the pants have to be less than $50 for them to qualify as a need rather than a want? And as you can see, this just gets you nowhere, and it leads to more questions and confusion. On top of that, not only are we good at convincing ourselves that our wants are actually needs, but so are marketers. We are bombarded with messages and ads that show us how a certain product or service fulfills a need or helps us avoid a pain point, which we are all seeking to avoid pain. That's a human need. A facial lotion is no longer just a moisturizer, it's the solution to your low self-esteem. And we all need to feel good about ourselves, right? I know that you don't need me to tell you that influencers and advertisers are really good at knowing what you need to hear in order to make their product or service so obviously a need that you would be missing out on your best life if you didn't get it. It seems that there is a way to make virtually everything in this world sound like a need in our own minds or in the messages we see all the time. So if you've ever tried to buy your needs instead of your wants and feel like you failed and didn't improve your financial situation, then please forgive yourself. This needs versus wants approach just sets you up to fail and reinforces bad feelings that you have about your ability to manage money well and spend your money responsibly. If the needs versus wants approach hasn't helped you gain control over your spending, then invite you to kick that method to the curb and instead spend according to your values, not ego. How do you do that? You create a S.A.V.E budget. S.A.V.E is an acronym for Spend in Alignment with Your Values, Not Ego. And it's more than my trademark. It's my guiding principle of spending. I do believe that money can buy you happiness, so long as you're spending in alignment with your values, not ego. Your roadmap to saving is your budget. Your budget, at least the way I teach it, is a breakdown of how much you value each category of spending. So, for example, your wardrobe budget is not based on the least amount of money that you can spend so that you don't look feral. It's the amount that reflects how important your wardrobe is to you within the context of how important all the other spending categories like housing, auto, entertainment are to you. A S.A.V.E budget has you assign more or less money to a category based on how much that category means to you. The budget accounts for all of your income and tells you on average how much you will be spending on each category. It also helps you figure out how much you're saving and investing each month. I'm not going to lie, creating a S.A.V.E budget is time consuming, at least the first time you do it. And it requires some serious thinking because you have to think through all the ways that you spend money in each of the categories. So it's work. But what's amazing is that you do this just one time, ideally at the beginning of the year, and then you don't have to debate with yourself over every single purchase. Instead of the question, is this a want or a need? The question is, does this purchase align with my budget? That's not a philosophical debate. That's a question that can be answered with numbers. So now, let's take those $500 black work pants as an example with this approach. Let's assume that your monthly budget for wardrobe is $450 per month. You might think that because the pants cost more than the entire monthly wardrobe budget, that the answer is a flat no. But that's not the case. In a S.A.V.E budget, you can spend over your budget in a category, provided you're not going into debt over it, as long as you reduce your spending by the amount that you went over in the next month, so that by the end of the year, you are on track with spending no more than $450 per month. So if your monthly wardrobe is $450, then your annual wardrobe is $5,400. So as long as you don't exceed that total in the year, you're fine to go over your monthly budget sometime. Obviously, that means you'll need to spend under budget some months to balance things out. Okay, so the price tag is not an immediate disqualifier, but the budget makes it easier for you to figure out how much you want those pants. Is it worth your entire monthly wardrobe budget plus some? It doesn't matter if it's a want or a need. What matters is, do you want these to use up over 1/12 of your entire year's budget? Do they mean that much to you? That's an easier question for you to answer. By completing your S.A.V.E budget in the first place, you have already given yourself a guideline for your spending on clothes. And then you decide if this particular item is worth it for yourself. So give up the unhelpful debate about whether a purchase is for a need or a want and get yourself a S.A.V.E budget so that you can spend according to what really matters to you while still having enough for all the other spending categories, as well as savings and investments. If you'd like to get started on creating your S.A.V.E budget, be sure to catch my video on the personal categories of spending that I recommend. I'll catch you in the next video.